everyone. Today's session will be Eclipse 103 integrating with Eclipse, and one of my favorite topics to share with you. Some new exciting features, as well as a kind of a technical overview of the core product functions that exist in Eclipse today. So you'll notice on your navigation bar on the right, there's a handout sections. You'll see the PowerPoint that I'm showing right now, as well as a PDF, technical PDF that dives a little deeper into the integrations you're going to see today. Okay, so what we'll do is just go through a quick PowerPoint and then actually get into some live demonstrations. So, you know, kind of our agenda today is the objective of why we're presenting this. We're going to go into a little more detail on each of the available core features, and then some add-on functionality. You're going to see a product called Ratchet Soft today. Allows you to embed this magic button. It's very easy to implement and something that I think will be exciting to see today. So, and then we'll end up with some demonstrations exactly how some of these tools work in real life. So the objective obviously is to educate our customers on what is available in the DocSTAR Eclipse system. Obviously, integration can mean a lot of different things. It takes on very many meanings, and in our particular vernacular, we're going to be focusing on efficiencies, certainly in terms of sharing data between applications, accessing our Eclipse documents from other line of business systems, and then certainly sharing data. So, for instance, the ability to push data bidirectionally. And so when we talk about, and you see on the slides here, the bundle includes SmartLink, Application Integrator, and Data Link. So those three components, if you don't have all three of those components, they do work in kind of conjunction with one another. And certainly for today, anyone attending today's session will receive a 15% discount off any of the products that you do see today. We are, and we'll kind of get this a little later in the slides, we are a GPUG, so if you are a Dynamics Great Plains or a Dynamics Nav or any Dynamics customer, we are a Dynamics integration partner, as well as, if you haven't heard, an Epicor and DocSTAR have now merged, so certainly an Epicor connector is available, as well as any Sage products. So if you do have some of these products you see on the bottom here, the logos, we have canned integrations for those different ERP systems. Okay. All right, so the core products that are available, so Data Link, if you're not familiar with this application, it allows you to pull data from any data source, as well as push data to another data source. And that can be done either through what we call ODBC or web services. So some of the concepts that you'll see today might be a little bit more technical than you're used to. Note that you know, we can certainly do a private workshop or kind of online session or even on site to kind of understand what you're trying to accomplish. So today's giving you just a high-level overview of these functions and features in the product. These are separate modules, so these three different products here, Data Link, SmartLink, and Application Integrator, are all essentially three separate products, and you'll see on the right here what they actually do. So Data Link's going to do essentially the pushing and pulling of data, whereas SmartLink is a screen scraper, so to speak. It allows you to extract data from the Windows or text-based interface, desktop applications, excuse me, and it will extract data and pass it to Application Integrator. So SmartLink and IE-Link are data extraction utilities. Obviously, by the labeling, IE-Link is Internet Explorer, so for those people wanting to do browser integration with Internet Explorer, you would use the IE-Link function. Now, we do have some other products you're going to see downstream in this particular presentation that work with other browsers, in fact, any browser. So those are some other things that you're going to see today. Application Integrator basically is a URL-based or command line-based application. So essentially, using SmartLink or IE-Link, you pass the data that it extracts from the screen to Application Integrator, and it goes and finds your document. Okay, so we're going to give you a couple examples of that today, and they basically work in conjunction with one another. So data link. Data link is basically the mechanism for pushing and pulling data. It's a very useful tool for certainly the most common is data entry automation. So for instance, if you have a proof of delivery process or you have an AP invoice process and there's one unique or multiple unique variables, an invoice number, a PO number, an order number, an AR invoice number, the user can either be prompted to enter that information or we can OCR that information, and then it triggers a lookup. So basically it's a database lookup to, in this particular case, what we'll show is a SQL Server table. And we're going to go and grab some information where that unique variable corresponds to other data. And we're going to pull that back and update the Eclipse record with that information. So it's going to aid in the data entry capability. It also allows for us to take in documents, use our OCR extraction utilities or advanced capture. So things like an AP invoice that are very unstructured, we're going to extract all that information on that particular document, and we're going to push that information into your ERP system. So lots of different ways that can happen. Obviously, each ERP system, line of business system is going to have and support different things, and this tool allows us to pretty much cookie cutter that particular integration. Now, in a lot of cases, you're going to see companies doing cloud-based ERP and line of business systems. That's not a problem. What we do is we utilize our Eclipse client to broker that connection. So that's one of the benefits of the architecture of Eclipse, where the physical browser interface of Eclipse and the client application can be separated or together, and allows for that integration to happen. Okay. So we're going to actually build out a data link today and show how that works. Again, it might be a little bit more technical than you're used to, but certainly the idea is to see how it works and what the end user will see, and you're going to actually experience that today. All right, so Application Integrator is a very useful tool. Okay, so the Application Integrator is going to take a command line, in this particular case, in a URL-based kind of format, and you can see here this localhost Eclipse web. So this would be your Eclipse site, and you're going to pass in parameters to it. So this is a great way of embedding Eclipse documents within your website, your existing website. It also can be used for integrating with other line of business applications, embedding a button or something to that effect. And you're going to see this. We're going to build out a little one. We have a sample application, a sample CRM system, and we're going to essentially extract the data and pass that to this particular URL, and it's going to return those documents. This is great also for vendor portals. It also is used in conjunction with SmartLink, which you're going to see. And it also has a number of different parameters. So you can see here on the top right a number of examples of how this would work. And for instance, we're going to extract a PO number from a screen, and we're going to pass it to this retrieve function that you see here. And this is going to pop open the document. So it's basically like a remote control to Eclipse. And it's all done through a browser integration, essentially. Now, Application Integrator also has a command line. So anything, applications that are desktop driven. So there's a desktop icon, and it's a client-server model. This, as you see here in the top right, there's an executable that is available. And what happens is when you target this executable, you can pass different parameters. And you can see on the left all the different parameters that are available. And this is all detailed in that PDF document that is available on the handout section in your GoToWebinar sys tray there. But basically, this allows you to do a number of different things programmatically utilizing this EXE. So a lot of line of business still use a desktop client or a client server based, not browser based. So you're going to use something like this to automate different tasks and rules. And utilizing the Windows Task Scheduler, you'll be able to execute a number of these different tasks using that particular tool to schedule essentially that process. Any questions that we have along the way, we're going to answer at the end of the session today, but just hold on to those questions and we'll get to those as soon as possible. Okay, so SmartLink is basically the screen scraper. It uses a Win API-based interrogation method. So there's actually 4 different ways to use SmartLink to extract data. In a lot of cases, some line of business systems don't support screen scraping, meaning that the data on the screen isn't text-based, so we can't grab it. So in those cases, we also look at what we'll call Windows API, which allows us to actually look at the physical component object. So a text box within, Great Plains or another line of business CRM system, if we can grab it through screen scraping, we're going to do that. Otherwise, we look at a Windows API interrogation. It's all automatic, meaning it doesn't require you to have to do any programming. Now, in some cases, you can copy and paste. That's what the clipboard function is, and this allows you to literally put your cursor on top of a word, and it will clipboard that and essentially copy and paste it, and then you can push that data again to Application Integrator or do something else. Mouse position is essentially, it's going to OCR that information where your mouse is, and highlighted text, you would highlight the word or words, and then by doing that, you hit the hotkey, and the hotkey would then trigger that extraction. Okay, so that's what SmartLink is all about. This only works with desktop applications. It's not going to work with browser-based applications. For browser applications, you're going to use IE-Link or the application that I'm going to show you, which is called Ratchet X. It's part of our new integration platform. All right, so additionally, just so you know, we do have, and as I said, we are a Dynamics and Sage integration partner, Epicor as well, and you're going to see the ability for us to do things within that application, so embedding buttons. So for Dynamics GP and Nav, you'll see here on the top right, we can embed buttons using internal dynamic capabilities, and then basically it calls Application Integrator. So essentially when I click on, you see DocSTAR Retrieve in the top right corner there, it's going to pass the purchase order or the invoice number dynamically, and when I click the button, it's actually going to open up the invoice associated with that record. Same thing with Sage here, Sage 300 ACPAC, and the ability to embed those buttons are just capabilities of Sage and Dynamics. We do also have full integration with Sage 100. There's a product called the Visual Integrator. That's part of the Sage platform that will allow us to push and pull data pretty easily. Okay. Full API, there isn't kind of a public link to this documentation, but you can see here I've provided that link. This is basically the web services API. So if you wanted to create a full integration with Eclipse, you can do that. Obviously, with an API, there is no user interface. You're not going to be able to leverage the Eclipse interface. You would basically have to program your own interface. So this is basically most ideal for low-level integration where you need to kind of embed our viewer, maybe extract data. You want to build a whole new mobile platform utilizing data and docs. You would use the API. Okay. And lastly, in terms of kind of integration methods, is this new Ratchet Soft application. It's not really new, but it's a really cool application. It allows you to basically embed a button that floats next to the minimize button within any Windows application. And this will work on browsers, desktop applications. It allows for pushing and pulling, or what we call jump to, which allows you to pop open documents that meet a certain criteria. It's pretty low cost, and basically there is a action pack specifically designed for DocSTAR, in this case Eclipse. So I'm going to demonstrate this as well in our kind of our demo section, which is now. So I'm going to start off with I'm actually going to start off with RatchetSoft, and I'll kind of go backwards here, do a SmartLink, and then a data link. Okay, so we'll end this particular presentation. Okay, and so we're going to open up a sample CRM system. Okay, so this is just a simplistic CRM system here. And so there's basically this little desktop application that runs, and this is the RatchetX. It basically monitors your different kind of keys, something that you click, either or hotkeys, and you're going to see up in the top here a little button will come open that will notify us. So there's this little thing down in the bottom here. You'll see the RatchetX commander here. And this is what's actually looking out for what application is open. So you'll notice there's nothing here right now. Now, once it notices that my CRM is open, it adds this magic button functionality. Okay, so what I do here is when I click it, I have two options. Jump to Eclipse, and what it's going to do is take this Oscar Matisox data, and it's going to automatically open the browser and show that particular document or set of documents associated with Oscar Matisox. So as you see here, it automatically opens, in this case, Internet Explorer, to show that resulting record. Okay, so as you see here, all that data is now in the system. Now, first, in some cases, we have data in other systems that you know, in this case, I have address, 1, 2, city, state, zip, phone, all this information. If this wasn't filled in, but it is available on the left here, we now have the ability to quick copy this data into Eclipse. So essentially, it's a screen level robotic automation. So it's basically doing what a user would do. If you're familiar with something like a macro, it's similar functionality. So as you see there, it's a way to reduce the manual data entry. There's data already in their CRM system, and we're simply providing that to Eclipse here. Okay. Now, you'll also notice, if you see in the top right-hand corner now in Eclipse, is now a jump to the CRM. So if I close my CRM and I'm in Oscar Matisox's, you know, in this case, W4, or, you know, maybe his customer records, contracts, whatever it might be, I can now simply click this button, which will now automatically open my CRM. So it's kind of the reverse jump to. And you see kind of it flashing on the screen. This simply requires a VM or a workstation to be made available, and it kind of just goes through the process. It can't really sit on somebody's workstation because it's automating common button presses, and it's not something that that it would interrupt your daily work. So with this, we would utilize essentially a VM or a desktop that is dedicated to this particular process. So you saw there kind of three things. One, a quick search from your CRM into Eclipse, a pushing of data from your CRM into Eclipse, and then a reverse lookup. So being within Eclipse and then finding the associated record within the CRM system. Okay, so the next one we're going to kind of look at is the SmartLink. So SmartLink utilizes, again, it's for desktop applications. So I'm going to start this little SmartLink application here. And it's going to sit in the system tray. Okay, so you'll see it down here. It's a little link, and has a little configure button. Okay, so I have this little application, Turbo CRM here. We'll just use this as our fake application, and we're going to create I'll create a new one here, and we'll call it test. Okay, so this is actually how you interrogate and extract the data. So I want to grab this PO number. So we're going to add a new field, and this is where I choose my extraction method. So I'm going to call this PO, and it's going to give me this little dialog box. So the first thing I'm going to do is set source. I'm going to click the button, and then I'm simply going to hold my mouse over there, and you notice how now I click and it's going to say analysis complete. So I literally just hover over that box. It knows to grab that Windows API element, and you'll notice when I hit next, it shows what it extracted from that particular box. Okay, so we're done now. The next thing I'm going to do is we then have to grab the command line. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and we have our test here. I'm going to go to the command line, and this is how it works with Application Integrator. So Application Integrator is basically this piece here. Okay, so this command line functionality. So you'll notice this squirrely brackets is basically the PO. So whatever field we've extracted, in this case the 0830-2008, we're going to put into this particular PO field. So it's going to now call when I click this hotkey. So let's just use Shift. We'll do Shift F9. Finding a good key that somebody will remember. So basically, when I hit Shift F9, it's going to automatically grab this PO value, and it's going to automatically pop up all matching documents. In this particular case, it's also going to auto-open all the available documents. So whether you want to just get a results grid of all the available documents that it finds, or you want it to auto-open, that's just a parameter that you can apply. So I'm going to apply that. And now, when I hit Shift F9, it looks like the other thing that's a problem with that is that you got to make sure that it doesn't, that hotkey doesn't call some other function. Let's do Shift F7 because that calls Cortana, I guess. That's already been assigned. Let's do Control Shift F7. Okay, Control Shift F7. Okay, and as you see here, it will now open that document or set of documents automatically. Okay, so you see there's 15 different documents that meets that 0830-2008 criteria. Okay, and you'll see, and you can then scroll through all those available documents. Okay, so basically SmartLink works with Application Integrator to be able to extract data, pass it to a URL, and then show the available documents. Okay, so if I was to, I'm just going to close that down. If I was to come in here and make a change to this purchase order number, so for instance, if there was another value that we wanted to look for, let's just quickly open up Eclipse, find another value, you'll see that that result set will change. Obviously, you'll find documents specific to accounting, purchase orders. Okay, so we have 1315. Okay, so let's just close this. 1315. So if I do Shift Control F7, you'll see that it finds that PO now. Okay, so see it's very dynamic in what it can actually do and extract. So you'll see that it found this particular document with 1315 in it, which happens to be that PO number, as you see here. Okay. Now that could be a keyword, or it can be an actual content field value. All right, good. So that's basically how SmartLink works. It's the hotkey, and then it passes that whatever extracts to the application integrator. All right, so let's now look at data link. This is one of the more popular features. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new data link, and as you see here in the admin section, you can either be granted the rights to do this or not. And you'll see at the top is the data link connections. This is where we're going to go and create a data link. So there's a couple ways to do that. You can put in a connection string. You'll see here there's two types of connection strings, an ODBC based, and if you're going to use ODBC, you would just set up your ODBC driver on your server. I'm going to use this 64-bit here, and you'll see a system DSN. A DSN basically, again, it's a bit more technical, probably what you're used to, is a data source connection. It allows us to hook in and have kind of a tollway to access the database. Okay, so in this case, I'm looking internally to my Eclipse database. I'm going to use Windows Security, and I'm going to target this vendors DB database. And you'll see here, I'm going to hit finish, and it's going to allow me to test, and you see a test completely successful. Okay, so that's one way, a DSN, you see the word SQL there, and that's DSN equals SQL, and integration equals true, which means that it's going to use my Windows authentication to log in. Now, a second approach is using a full just MS SQL, looking at SQL Server, and in this connection string, you'll see that I'm doing things a little differently. Basically, this information is what was contained in the DSN. Okay, and then you'll notice I can use that particular data source, which is the connection here. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to type in what I want to look for. So in this particular case, I'm going to select everything from this app data table. Okay, so we're going to just open up that real quick. I'll just show you what's in that table. And here's the app data, AP data, in this particular database. And this is going to bring back all of the available data rows. Okay. So as you see, we have a few different data points in here. So we're going to use this Acme company one. We're going to use that PO number, and I'm going to show you what happens here. So basically, what it's saying is look in this table where the PO number is the PO number field. So what we do down here is we create a parameter or variable that is basically going to be filled in through our workflow process. Okay. So here you'll notice also at the bottom, this is where if you want a drop-down to be database-driven, you'll select the drop-down function. This will allow you to pull customer lists, vendor names, GL codes into a drop-down list within Eclipse. In this case, I don't want to pull it into a drop-down. I want to be able to put in a PO number and have it go out and automatically grab all the other information that is related to it. So you also see this test live button, and you'll notice that it pulls back successfully all the information that's in that particular table where my parameter is equal to this test value. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So now we're going to capture an invoice, and we're going to, in our workflow that we specified, I have it calling this data link. But before it calls the data link, it's prompting me for an entry. In this particular case, it's going to prompt me for the purchase order number. Okay, so once I capture my AP invoice in this particular content type, you're going to see AP invoice approval and the workflow associated with that. That workflow has the data link in it. You can certainly check out our previous webinars on workflow, and it will review this particular document. Okay, so we'll see at the bottom here is the document, and you're going to see at the top it's going to require the PO number. So basically, by putting in this particular PO number, when I hit submit, it's going to now go out to that data link and populate these other fields. Okay, so as you notice here, that data link basically went out and found all the matching data, and it populated the particular fields. And it does this using you know, kind of a unidirectional pull of information into the system. Data link can also push this information. So in certain situations, we might collect information and then want to push that, and you can also use that within the data link. You'll notice in the data link you have read data and then populate data. Okay, so read data is what we just did. Populate data is when we want to push that essentially to another system. Okay, so that is basically data link. If you don't have it, it's a great tool. You know, certainly give us a call if you have any questions around that. So that concludes our demonstration for today. What I'll do now is just